What's up, everyone? Kevin O here. If you're watching this, the Barbell Commission launches live, so go check that out over at Barbell Apparel. Barbell Commission Apparel.com. But I wanted to go through a full workout, or pretty much most of my workout. I cut out all the beginning stretching, but starting with these are something I used to do for my quad tendonitis. This is something that my physical therapist, David Joe, had given me. I feel like it's more mental than physical, this exercise. Basically, what you're doing, it helps you work on your ankle mobility, it helps you work on your quad tendon, but you're focusing on kind of going up and down while keeping your knee out, not letting your knee cave in, and keeping your foot flat. For whatever reason, this helps. I haven't done them lately. As I got more into meet prep, I kind of like got away from a lot of the mobility stuff because you're just working more in the main lift. So now that I'm in the off season, I can get back to a lot of these things that help me work on my mobility and my stability. So doing those, I've been doing these. These are just goblet squats. I'm not currently squatting. I'm going to take about a month off. I'm not hurt, but I can tell my quad tendons was starting to get, just very beat up. So I'm just going to deload before they get worse for no reason because I really don't need to right now. I'm kind of in my off season. I'm not going to be in prep until at the very earliest, like beginning of June maybe. So for now, I'm just doing goblet squats as my squat maintenance. I'm going to up my deadlift, just my deadlift volume. I'm back into doing sumos, which is good for me. That's kind of how I build my strength with deadlifts. Conventional never really built strength for me. It's more of a display of strength. What helps my strength mostly is when I do sumos, because I have tight hips, I have weaker hips, I have weaker hamstrings. So doing sumo deadlifts for me helps, work on those weak areas a lot more than doing conventional does. So just doing some of these banded good mornings, mostly just to activate my glutes more than anything. Not so much back, more so glutes. I'm driving through lockout hard and really squeezing my glutes to get them, just activated and moving and feeling alert. So getting into sumos now, these are the first sumos I've done in months. I think since like January or February. I forget whether it was February, but I had a really bad AC joint issue. Don't think it was torn, but it was almost torn. It was right at that point. So going into April, the last 6 weeks before that squat only comp, I didn't deadlift at all. And then going into the meet this month, which was 5 weeks after the April meet, I was only doing conventional every 2 weeks or so, just because I had to pretty much do the bare minimal deadlifting I could get away with before the comp, just to lay off of my shoulder as much as possible to give myself the best chance at letting it heal. So I haven't pulled sumo in months. And sumo is where I get the most bang for my buck training wise, even though I compete conventional. So, long story short, I'm very happy to be able to pull sumo again. It was pain free. My hips and glutes just felt really tight, as they always do when I get back to sumo. So, I'm definitely happy to be training sumo again. This is how I prefer to do my off season and to start my meet prep. It puts me in a much better position training wise to build into a peak for deadlifts and squats. So it felt alright. I kept them light. I'm using a stiff bar instead of a deadlift bar. The reason I like to train with a stiff bar is it forces your technique to be that much better. You have to correctly pull tension into the bar, and you have to get that more tense and tension throughout your entire body to be able to break the bar off of the ground. So I'm probably gonna stick with stiff bar as long as I can, unless it just starts feeling really shitty or something. But plans to stick with stiff bars. I'll probably go beltless for 3 or 4 weeks, unless my back starts bothering me. Then obviously I'll stop early. But I only worked up to 600 for two triples. I'm sure I could have gotten heavier, but first week back to sumo, there's no reason to. Plus, I'm trying to deload my body for the first month after this prep. So I'm not going to get too much heavier than this until next month. This month, I probably won't go heavier than like 650, 660 ish maybe. It's just no reason to. My body just needs to kind of relax a little, needs to get a little bit of that tenseness out of my body. So Right now, it's more so just working on technique and moving as opposed to putting a ton of weight on the bar, and focus on my weakness more so with accessory work than the main lifts, the main barbell lifts. So after those, got into this. I forget what this machine is, but basically you're doing a good morning. It's a little easier on the machine as opposed to a barbell, mostly because you're pushing your legs against something so you can kind of stabilize a little easier. But I like this machine. I did it last week. It felt good. Only issue is if you don't have bands on, what happens is it's like harder at the bottom than the top. And where you really want it to be hard is when you're pushing through lockout. So if you don't have a band on, what happens is that initial drive out of the bottom gives you momentum because it's free weights. So it kind of just like bounces right through lockout. So it's a little too easy. So I was trying to figure out the bands. Obviously, I put an orange band on here. It's obviously way too loose. You can see that it's just flopping around. So the next set, I doubled it over. Worked out perfect. It was a good amount of tension. I could definitely do more, but that's what I found to be the best. A doubled over bands, as you'll see in this set. But these feel good. I'm focused on keeping my back neutral, the entire back. I don't want my lower back or upper back rounded while I'm doing these. I'm trying to get down to at least a 90-degree angle, if not a little lower. And then I'm driving. Basically, I'm coming down. I'm trying to do a slight pause at the bottom, like a very slight pause, so I'm not like bouncing back and forth kind of. I want to be very controlled, but I'm doing a very slight pause. Then I'm driving as hard as I can through lockout. That's why I think it's going to work the best for me. That's what's going to help me get a little more explosive in my hamstrings and my glutes. So as you see, that's what I'm doing here. This set, I think I just threw another 25 pounds on the outside, but I was doing it better here. You can see where I'm coming down, doing a slight pause, and then I'm driving hard as I can through. I'm even, if anything, rounding my shoulders back a little, just to really kind of emphasize that lockout and to exaggerate it. But I like these. They feel good on my hamstrings, my glutes, and my lower back. Not so much upper back, even though that's where the pad is. It's just not really where you can feel it. Not with this type of weight. Feels good though. After this, I got into the inverse curl machine. Now this is something I haven't done. When I try to do GHR, I just have really weak hamstrings. Just where my body weight probably is, it just makes it very difficult. Hamstrings are definitely not my strong suit. So I was excited that in our new gym, Mount Vernon Barbell did recently move across the street from the old location to a location that's about twice the size, and they got some great new machines, this being one of them. So when I saw this, I was excited because it has counterweight to make it a little easier for you, and it can just put your body in like a really good position as opposed to the GHR. I just never really liked it. You feel like you're kind of just like hanging off in like a weird position. Like you always feel uneasy with the machine, like it's gonna like flip over or something. This felt very stable. So at first, I think I started with too much weight. Then when I took off some weight, it ended up being like too light. But what ended up working best for me, I think, was a 45 and a 25. So what is that? 70 pounds counterweight worked very well for me, where I can get down to the bottom, and it was hard. It was very hard, but it was enough that I can come back up and get a really good pump in my hamstrings. At first, it was kind of irritating my hamstring tendon. And I did recently have a hamstring tendon issue, but so I was a little nervous about that. I was like, fuck, it's probably not going to be a good machine for me. But once I got into the sets, it actually felt really good. It fucking destroyed my hamstrings. While standing up, walking around, like, it's a different type of pump. Like, I do hamstring curls a lot and very often, and those probably hit more of your upper hamstrings, closer to your glute, or more into, like, the middle of the belly. But these got my lower hamstrings, like, different than anything I've ever done before. The Good Morning machine, obviously, is going to get more of, like, your upper hamstring as well. Like, most exercises you do, like a stiff leg deadlift, you can feel it more in, like, the upper hamstring. But these get, like, really, they get into your lower hamstring really well. So I'm definitely going to be doing these a lot more, especially right now where I'm trying to work on weaknesses. This is definitely going to be a mainstay. I'm probably going to do high volume on these as well. I think they're going to have a lot of carryover. Obviously, you never know until we get down the road a couple of weeks or a couple months, but I think they're going to have a lot of carryover. But after that, just got into some back accessory. This is one of my favorite back machines, like, ever, actually. Might be my favorite, but basically it's like the way it's set up, as you can see, obviously it's on rails, so it's like you can pull it like right into you. Just the way that it moves is fucking awesome. I love this machine personally. It's my favorite row machine for sure. But I usually just do high volume on these. I'll do 4 or 5 sets. I usually just whatever way I work the warm ups, whatever. But I usually just get to the full stack and just bang out like a max rep set. Usually I can do more, but I'm a little tired. My body weight's a little down, is a little low right now. I think I'm only like 235, 236. I'll probably get down to like 230 before I get back into a meet prep. In terms of meet prep, a lot of people are asking me. I'm really not sure. The goal basically right now, I did that comp like a week and a half ago now. So the first month, another 2.5 weeks basically, I'm just deloading. I want to get my body fresh. I want to see how I feel basically at the end of that first month. If I'm feeling fresh, nothing feels like it's torn or strained or anything like that, then the goal is to compete at the end of August. I'll have about 10 weeks to prep, which is more than enough time for me. So that would be the goal. That's all I'm kind of looking at right now. Definitely plan to go 242 in knee sleeves. I fucking hate knee wraps, especially now with how my form has kind of evolved on squats with high bar. Knee wraps just feel fucking terrible for me. I would much rather just stay in sleeves. I'm probably, and I know it's never good to like say these things like, oh, I'm gonna do this forever, and then like 2 weeks later I change my mind. But I'm probably, I'm probably gonna just go knee sleeves for like as long as I can. I can't really see myself doing knee wraps anymore unless I have some type of injury and I'm forced to do knee wraps, but I'm just a much better knee sleeve squatter. I barely get anything out of knee wraps. I mean, I hit 830 in sleeves. I was probably capable of 850 that day, and the most I've ever done in knee wraps is like 880. So obviously I'd probably should be more like 930 in knee wraps. So obviously I'm not getting much out of them. But my goals right now, 2200 plus in knee sleeves, 850-ish knee sleeve squat, something like that. But we got to see how it plays out. At Boss of Bosses last year, I hit a 550 bench, but I had slight downward motion right before lockout, although I did lock it out. But obviously that's an infraction, so I got red lighted. So obviously I'd like to hit 550 again. I'm probably going to get my weight up to like 255, 260 his first meet. So I'll be around the same weight I was at Boss of Bosses last year. So for me, my goals, which I probably should never put out ahead of time, but like 850-ish squat, 550-ish bench. In November in comp, I did 820 on deadlift only. So hitting around that or surpassing that would be great, which would put my total up over 2200. I think even with all of my comp best, I mean, I squat 832 in sleeves in comp. I've done 529 in comp and 820 deadlift in comp. So what is that like? I think alone that's 2180. But I'm looking to go 2200 plus. That is my goal. We will see how long that takes. I honestly should have done it already, to be perfectly honest, but I haven't. So obviously I'll keep working at it. But my goal at the moment is to get healthy this month, and see